I've told it to several friends of mine. Like, actually, all of them are human rights activists. Like, I think I told it like 2 or 3 people. I for some time I have wanted to start a type of campaign that I have never, probably it exists somewhere in the world, but I have never heard it, like I have never found it, and I think it is an important thing, but I'm not sure whether many people will understand it, because I see a lot of men, like I'm 32 right now, and my whole life I've been surrounded by messages of only one sort, and never nothing at all, or probably I'm just not searching in the right places. Messages of other things. The only close thing to it is like religion and Christianity, which have similar messages, but they also have lots of different stuff which is not needed for, you know, people right now. So what I'm speaking about is that I'm not sure about you guys, but me, when I was growing up as a teenager and as a kid, I guess, and when I became an adult as well, I was and am, and I guess all of you guys also are surrounded by messages that sex is something very, very pleasant, and great, and helpful, and amazing, and something that everybody should try, and if they didn't, they are missing out. And unfortunately, at some point in my life, I believed in this message, and I was fooled by it. Okay, so in my family, like Ukraine traditionally, right now unfortunately not, but traditionally it is a very, I don't know or remember the word in English, but okay, we value virginity of the girl a lot, so the untouchableness, you know, of the girl before marriage, and not only before marriage. That's not the most important thing. During the marriage as well. So I was raised by my grandmother and grandfather, because my mom she does not accept it, but I believe that she has abandoned me. So I was raised by my grandmother and grandfather, and in their marriage, I mean, they loved each other, they were the first for each other, and they lived together for their whole life, but for them, sex was something that only needs to happen for having kids. So when my grandmother and grandfather married, grandfather told grandma, like, prepare yourself, we will have 3 kids. And I did not know that, but my grandma also had a tragedy. I had no idea about it. They actually had 3 kids, but I only know, like, until the age of, I don't know, 17, I only knew about 2 of them, 2 surviving ones. So my grandma only had sex for having children. They slept in separate rooms. Yeah, and in my family, it was a rule for not having sex before marriage, and I was surrounded by these magazines for girls, like with advices of how to pleasure the guy. And believe me, I know very well how to pleasure a guy. I've researched, and I got a lot of not just positive but like excited feedback, and it was the best sex in my life as well. So I know how to do that, but the thing is that neither of them know how to do it for me. I've only had one orgasm in my life, and I mean, it was not from what men think it should come from. Like at all. And there is there is a movement called Me Too, and in Ukraine it was there was a related movement called Я не боюсь сказати, I'm not afraid to say. And it was started by an activist, like she was a journalist, I think, she is a journalist, about some situation of abuse related to a woman by a man. And people, like this girl, she created a post about her experience and encouraged other girls to share theirs with this hashtag Я не боюсь сказати, I'm not afraid to say. And girls started to share their stories about like abuse by men and why they're afraid to, you know, be followed by men on a street, or go into an elevator when there is also a man in the elevator, or if they are in elevator and the man is coming, they would go out. You know, all these stories. During, like, from childhood to their adult years, lots of stories emerged. It was like, I think, three months of posts, and some were like really intense, and some were just okay, like,
I need to talk guys.
You know, someone touched me and I did not like it. I mean, some were more intense, some were less intense, but still they were like personal stories. And many men were shocked by that. Some men said, like, I'm disgusted to be a man now. Some said, I have no idea this was happening. And so there were lots of Me Too type of posts, Я не боюсь сказати. But I have never created mine. And the weird thing about it is that I reposted a post by another person, and I just created some kind of, you know, motivational, what I think about it post, and I just wrote, but I am afraid to tell. And it was an open post. Most of my posts on Facebook are closed, so this was an open post. And somehow, this message of mine that I did not share my personal story. I just said, said what I think about this action, and that I am afraid to tell. And somehow this post of mine got into an article about this movement, and people started commenting and liking this post, saying like, oh, like I'm like out of all this posts in this campaign, I'm afraid about this post the most. And actually, it is not the worst thing that can happen to a girl, and not the worst thing that I've heard of. But it is just something that I'm afraid to tell because, the people who, like, I would not name them, but to whom this story will be related, I believe their understanding of what has happened is different, and they would not agree. And yeah, so when I said that media and magazines for teenagers and the movies and everything, they create an image that when two people love each other and they are attracted, they will have sex and it will be amazing and stuff. But I was like, I had before this two boyfriends, and it was great. We did not have sex because I said, okay, we cannot have sex before marriage. We found ways to have pleasure without that, and it was great. And then I told my friend who's a girl, about it, you know, that I'm saving my virginity for marriage, and she said, but you're stupid, you're missing on so much pleasure. And I thought, you know, not just like the only people for whom virginity was a virtue was my family. And at that point I was dating my boyfriend for half a year, and before that we also were acquainted for half a year. And at some point I said, okay, like, let's do it. And he was like, are you sure? I was like, okay, yeah, let's do it. And then he was, I guess, not so experienced much. What I expected as pleasure was very intense pain, and I tried to move out to interrupt this pain, to stop it, and he didn't let me, because he was in the process of it is a hard work to break a human which does not let to be broken. So he just took my hands like this and just blocked them from like with his hands blocked me from moving, and just finish the job, broke the human. It was really painful, and it continued to be painful for 3 months, but it never started to be pleasurable. And yeah, and I only had one sexual partner right at that point. I was like, probably it's this guy is doing something wrong. That is a different story. But like, I had a really close friend for 12 years, and we were friends. I mean, we were really close, and I'm a very cuddly person. I like hugging a lot and stuff. And we were like for I don't know what, 11 years we would just lie on the sofa and hug and speak. And for me it was just spending time with a person who is really important for me, but not not erotic, okay, like a person who is, I don't know, like a brother, but very very close, not a relative. And at some point he started doing allowing himself what he did not allow before that. So he at some point I was flying a lot to other countries, and for that you need to go to the capital, and I stayed at his house. And now, or for some time, I understand that it was not the right thing to do, but I am a very virgin thinking type of person. For me, sharing a bed with a guy was not about having sex. It was about sleeping in a bed with a person whom you know for 12 years, But I did not take into account that he was under the influence of alcohol and drugs, marijuana, and at some point he decided that if I am in a bed with him and hugging him, it means that I want him. And he started advancing, kissing me and everything, and I did not understand what is going on and why like, why he's doing it, and I started asking him, are you sure you want to do that? And he was like, yes. And he's like, I know when a girl wants me. And the thing is that, you know, yeah, okay, he was a handsome guy and I liked him and I cared about him a lot, but he was my friend and he was also the best friend of my boyfriend at that point. And he introduced us. And I was like in my head, I thought, yeah, okay, I would be interested sometime, but not in a situation like this, and not when you're the best friend of my boyfriend. So, I mean, I did not have the power to say no, and I was basically laying there frozen for the most time, and when he finished, he asked me, why did you do this? And the problem is that I still, like, there can be the most little trigger, and I remember about him because he is still a very important person for me. But when I have this memory, it's just, you know, like it's 12, the most, it's a childhood, okay? It's a childhood friend, and the most brightest moments, school friend, you know? Bright, funny, light moments in my life, they are corrupted with this memory. And it's, you know, I cannot make it go away. And even sometimes you see on Facebook posts like, if you would go back in time and change something, would you change it? And I said, probably I would change that, but the thing is that I don't want to say go to a psychotherapist and erase it from my memory, block it or something, because it has taught me. It has taught me things that, you know, what I can expect, and it has helped me. This case in my life, it has helped me identify and stop situations like this happening in the future. And there were two situations that would have resulted in this if I did not have this case before, and I did not stop it from happening. And one of the situations, like I don't have a father, and my mother had some friends who know her for many years before I was born, during my how I was raised up as a child. So I know them for like most of my life, and two of them. So she has three friends who proposed her marriage at some point. She never accepted any of them, but still. So they know me as I grew up from 12-year-old. And two of them, like one of them had an advancement to me, like sexually. And I just got up and walked away physically. And then he came back and, you know, apologized, but it was like, I cannot perceive him as a fatherly figure anymore. I really wanted him to become my stepfather, but not anymore, you know. And another one of them, he, like, a year and a half ago, he came to me and you know, he was really, you could say that he was preparing this speech for some time. He came to me and shaved in my bathroom, you know, for greater image. And he made a speech about how he has seen me mature as a woman, become a beautiful woman and intelligent and so on. and how he, and that I don't have a boyfriend, and how he, you know, has that and that and that, and how he, and he is, you know, the age of my father. He has a grown-up son, and he is married, and so he proposed himself to me as a partner, and I told him 13 reasons why this cannot be, you know, this cannot happen, and he did not understand. Like, he was like, yeah, okay, I know your mother, and I proposed her marriage, but we don't speak, so yeah, so why not, and so on and so on. And yeah, so that's one case. And then my cousin came to me to visit me. I don't see him a lot. He just came to visit on a religious holiday, and he got he drank a little bit of the church wine, and then he continued drinking. And he is from another city, so I could not say go out, because where would he stay? On the street? I know him from childhood as well. He is like a brother to me, because I don't have my own brother. And at some point, like, so he continued drinking. There was cognac and stuff. At some point, he forgot where he is and who I am, and decided that I'm a prostitute. I will not say where he has spent the last 2 years of his life. It is important. It is really important in this story, but I will not tell, because I respect my country too much. Let's put it like that. So yeah, so he has decided he totally forgot where he is. He did not recognize that this is an apartment. He decided that he is, let's put it like that, somewhere else, somewhere in the field, surrounded by other people, and that I am a prostitute. And he, for the whole night, he made like advancements and told very rude words towards me. And I was hiding wherever I could. And in the morning, he did not remember any of that. And I really loved my brother. Okay, he's a cousin, but like a brother to me. And I can't really talk to him anymore. And you know, when I see posts on Facebook about, like, I often see it on Facebook, like some girl feels unhappy, and I see comments from men, but also from women, that okay, like, have some sex and you will feel better. And also I felt like unhappy at some point during the New Year, and not even a friend, just an acquaintance, like, called me and said, and I said, okay, like, I feel lonely, blah blah blah, and he was like, did you try masturbating? And you know, for me, it is very something very, very private, and something that actually gives me more pain than any pleasure. And when I see people recommending to other girls to have sex as a way of relaxation, for me it is like a slap in the face. What I would recommend to young girls who have never done experienced sex, I would really recommend them not to believe in the mass media stories. Like, I will not call them lies, because for many people it is true. It is just not true for all people. Like, don't rush. Like, I was not so young, I was 18 when I did it, but still. Don't rush, because probably where you are running after, it will not give you what you expect. And also, when I I'm now wearing a coat. One of the reasons of that is that I don't want to show my nipples, because men, like heterosexual men, subconsciously, that's how their biology works. They would, even if they did not have this idea or like desire, they subconsciously start thinking about like sex. And I don't like every important, okay, not every alive important fatherly figure that I had in my life at some point made a sexual advancement to me. And for me it is something that I feel like I need to protect myself from. So when, like, here is a recommendation for men, especially heterosexual men, if you don't know a girl very, 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 very well, don't say anything sexually related to her at all. Don't make jokes about it, because that is not your fucking business. That's my message.